Hungry monkey!
Where'd you get a giant ape?
It followed me home?
You lie! You lie!
This review has been made possible by the Sponge Boy, thanks to his awesome support on Ko-fi. If you wanna be cool like him, please head over to my commission page to learn more details on how you can order your own choice for a single cartoon episode for me to review. Okay, I'm genuinely excited to talk about this show over here. Not only is it another hidden gem of Canadian television animation, much like King, but it also happens to be a series that I, on my own time, have been slowly getting myself more and more invested in as I watch it in rough chronological order. Up in the sky, look! It's a bird! Well, technically it is a bird, I guess. It's Captain Flamingo! A young superhero who may seem puny on the outside, but his mind is set on looking out for kids in a big way. What was previously one of those cartoons on YTV that I only casually caught if it came on, similar to Quang Invasion, would years later become something that has me thinking, I seriously put Scaredy Squirrel and Kid vs. Cat over this? I got into Captain Flamingo around the time of my 2024 Canada Day livestream, and yeah, watching that first episode was enough for me to believe that I have been missing out on a lot, and it only gets much better from there. But what exactly is Captain Flamingo? Cause I'm sure it's virtually unknown to you Americans who missed out on its 5:30 AM airings on Jetix. Like, seriously, Toon Disney? Created by Suzanne Watts and John May, and airing on YTV for 3 seasons and 52 half hours, Captain Flamingo was a show that I can best summarize as the somewhat more male-oriented counterpart to one of Teletoon's flagship original series at the time, Atomic Betty. Both of them are comedies about kid heroes with double lives, produced by 2 of the same companies, Atomic Cartoons and Breakthrough Entertainment, and had individuals like the Raccoons creator Kevin Gillis and Atomic Cartoons co-founder Rob Davies help put their concepts together. Although only one of these shows had a decent amount of merch, while the other basically got nothing, aside from a few international DVDs and some fairly average prizes that were won as part of a contest. A more important difference between the two is, whereas Betty has a secret identity as a fighter against very real aliens up in space, the suburban adventures of Milo Powell as his homemade alter ego with the help of his best friend slash sidekick slash not so secret admirer Elizabeth are depicted as relatively grounded in reality for the most part, Flamingo vision notwithstanding. I think Captain Flamingo stands out from other comedic cartoons starring kids with superpowers, whether it's the Powerpuff Girls, which I'll bring up again soon, or its great value brand equivalent Timo Supremo, because instead of relying on a rogue gallery of outlandish villains to cause any given episode's conflict, the premise usually revolves around Captain Flamingo helping one or more out of a diverse lineup of neighborhood kids with distinct personalities who fall into trouble over an often exaggerated depiction of an average child issue. Some of these kids, like Rutger and Max, are featured much more often than others, and today's selected episode to review, Season 2's Saddle-Brained, is one from a scarce amount of stories centered around a character whom I and the Sponge Boy agree was unfairly underutilized in the series, Kirsten McBradden. I'll get into why this cutesy fangirl of Captain Flamingos is such an underrated character once we look at this particular episode itself. Now, Captain Flamingo is a pretty formulaic show, with occasional shake-ups to the formula that result in some of the best episodes I've seen from the series thus far. The plot summary I'm about to tell has a story structure commonly found in various other episodes. Milo would often have a problem in his non-superhero life that could bear some similarities to the Kid in Trouble's dilemma. In the case of Saddle-Brained, he has no choice but to share his bedroom with his drooling, diaper-soiling baby brother Thor, who's apparently so annoying that Milo couldn't give a crap if he was sent to live up on Mars instead. Then Kirsten yells, because she has her own unwanted guests to deal with, a pony named Agnes, except she technically does want her in her house, but doesn't want her parents to find out. She couldn't help but bring Agnes home with her from the pedant farm. After a hilariously pointless trip to take Agnes back to the farm, Elizabeth suggests to Milo that the pony would have to be his second roommate alongside Thor, thus making Milo's bedroom stinkier than a heaping pile of Hunchback of Notre Dame 2 DVDs. At first, hiding this real-life equine from Milo's adorable mother didn't seem too hard, but as with other Captain Flamingo episodes, this is the halfway point where things go from bad to worse, topped with a cliffhanger announced by the show's hilarious narrator, Peter Callahan, the dad from Ned's Newt. Somehow, for some reason, Kirsten has now dragged along a big-ass elephant and requests Milo to hide it as well. Cleverly, he tricks his mother once again by disguising the elephant behind as a big balloon for Thor. But here's where things get even worse.
Monkey!
Yes, a gigantic gorilla. Because as Tex Avery taught us, the bigger the funnier. And just as I predicted from the moment I saw the giant gorilla, we got the obligatory King Kong parody scene that has been done to death in other cartoons, as the gorilla has kidnapped Thor, and Thor himself has taken unauthorized possession of Milo's beloved action figure of his inspiration, Quantum Vigilante. I blame Lover Girl over here, because earlier in the episode she forgot to lock the mini safe meant to protect the action figure, or maybe she did lock it off screen, but the weight of the gorilla's hand broke it open when grabbing the banana Thor dropped on top of it. But here's where Elizabeth definitely comes in handy, as in the majority of other episodes, Captain Flamingo would consult with his so-called bird brain to come up with one last heroic solution, which is really just Elizabeth's own suggestion echoing its way into his noodle. In other words, it's just this trope. Her simple words of,
Well, I'll see what I can do.
gave the captain the idea of monkey see, monkey do, which means telling Thor to throw the Quantum Vigilante figure so the gorilla could throw Thor, without fatal results of course. Once Milo rescues his baby brother and makes a safe landing, it is revealed that this whole giant gorilla nonsense was actually an on-location filming session for an upcoming Hollywood blockbuster. Considering the timing of when this episode was made, I believe this could be interpreted as a reference to not just any King Kong movie, but specifically the Peter Jackson version from 2005, with the gorilla being controlled by who I can best describe as Andy Serkis's Canadian cousin. As for the pony and elephant, while they seemingly disappeared during the climax, we can rest assured that Kirsten will have them live peacefully in a pony farm and circus respectively, thanks to the money that she, Milo, Elizabeth, and Thor received after essentially photobombing the movie suit. And thus, another job well done for Captain Flamingo saving the day. With the plot synopsis for Saddlebrained out of the way, I need to address another elephant in the room that may or may not be as big as the one Kirsten brought in. If any details of this Captain Flamingo episode's plot sound familiar, then there's a chance that you were reminded of the classic Powerpuff Girls episode, Helter Skelter, in which Bubbles is also shown to have a habit of bringing home outdoor animals, most prominently a literal whale. Whereas Kirsten brought in the biggest land mammal on Earth, Bubbles wants to keep the largest mammal on Earth period as a pet without Professor Utonium finding out. Both episodes each have their own set of great jokes and amusing moments in which the absurdity couldn't help but escalate to keep things entertaining. A key difference between the two, however, is that Saddlebrained only focused on 3 animals Kirsten took away, most notably Agnes the pony, while Helter Skelter had Bubbles free an entire zoo by the end, although any other animals are treated like passing mentions compared to that single whale. Not to mention, we get to see Bubbles say goodbye to Moby Dick over here, whereas Kirsten just brought up the pony and elephant's fates as a throwaway line or something. Also, Helter Skelter has more quietness and subtlety in its presentation that's commonplace on the Powerpuff Girls, while Captain Flamingo in general is the type of show that people would accuse of falling into the same category of quote, wild and obnoxious Canadian cartoons as Johnny Test and Rocket Monkeys, which no, Milo is much better than those two. Forget the haters. Oh yeah, a third contender has arrived because Saddlebrained also reminded me personally of the classic SpongeBob episode, My Pretty Seahorse, specifically the whole bit with SpongeBob trying to hide Mystery the Seahorse from Mr. Krabs at work. Of course, that episode is even better than either of these two, but you know, the comparisons have gone on long enough. Let's go back to why this episode is a great sample of Captain Flamingo's charm. Like other good cartoons that rely on a formula, including my previous subject, the Backyardigans, part of the fun to be found in Captain Flamingo is to see how they'll execute said formula in each episode, including the times where it comes off as more high concept than usual. My favorite thing to look forward to in each segment is the humor, whether it stems from the main situation that the captain has to resolve, the chemistry between Tabitha St. Germain and Melanie Tonello, voicing the overconfident amateur superhero and his voice of reason pal respectively, the narrator's quips that could sometimes give Tom Kenny on the Powerpuff Girls a run for his money, and just whatever bit of surrealism comes to the writer's minds. If I were to name just one funny highlight in Saddlebrained, it would definitely have to be the sequence with the captain and Elizabeth going on an exaggeratedly directionless pony ride to bring Agnes back to the farm. I especially loved the Wile E. Coyote style gag with the kids forward for a convincingly painted mural of the farm said and done by little Kirsten. On the topic of embracing its cartooniness, while the show's flash animation typically isn't super impressive, the people at Atomic Cartoons in Canada and PASI in the Philippines came together to bring us a good amount of appeal through the design work, and when the characters are expressive, it can be effective. For instance, I love whenever Elizabeth's almond-shaped eyes would become fully rounded when she's shocked or feeling tense. Now, as we're coming near the end of this review, how about we start giving our flowers to the episode's featured kid in trouble, Kirsten? Do you have that one good character in a TV show who you feel was robbed of being a more common presence in the supporting cast? I have at least a few of my own picks, and like I said earlier, I agree with SpongeBoy that it's a shame Kirsten is one of the least utilized kids in Captain Flamingo, appearing more often in cameos than as a major character in an episode.
How come I never get any lines in these things?
The main hook with her character is that she's an obsessive Captain Flamingo fan who even Elizabeth, the girl who's no stranger to displaying stalker behavior herself, agrees is in need of therapy, something that is remarked in Saddlebrained over here and the Season 1 episode The Last Stand. Her love of the shining beak of justice motivates her to pretty much deliberately cause mischief in order to call for the captain to come over, even if those so-called dilemmas could be laughably trivial at times. But if there's one thing that is required to bring up when discussing Kirsten's likability, it's her sweet vocal performance provided by Stephanie Lynn Beard, whom my fellow Canadian 2000 kids may best remember for appearing as Sugar, co-host of YTV's afternoon block, The Zone. Previously, however, Kirsten was voiced by an actual child actress, Vanessa Thompson, in the episode Gun Control. No offense to Vanessa, she did her best, but Sugar's exaggeratedly high-pitched voice proved to be a more successful fit for a little girl as insane as Kirsten.
Go away. I don't need you. I've got Captain Flamingo. He'll save me.
No! I really truly need rescuing this time! See, I started a lemonade business. On account I'm saving up for therapy.
Perhaps it was due to her hosting duties on The Zone why Sugar couldn't voice Kirsten as often as she would have liked. Oh, I almost forgot. Thank you, Sugar, for liking my Captain Flamingo and Kirsten fan art on Instagram. As far as episodes focused on Kirsten are concerned, it's a toss-up between Saddlebrained and the earlier segment Bug Out, both of which I found to be even more engaging than the aforementioned Last Stand. Okay, there's another elephant in the room to address before we finally finish. If you're a non-Canadian who knows anything about Captain Flamingo, chances are it's this freakish moment at the end of The Last Stand, popularized by a video with close to 2 million views about a YouTuber's search for his childhood trauma. I still have several episodes left to watch from this show myself, and even I think without hesitation that its legacy should not be limited to that one gag. Hopefully my review of Saddlebrained has convinced any non-fans that Captain Flamingo is an underrated classic worthy of another chance, and I thank you, SpongeBoy, for your help in putting together this video about your biggest Canadian animation hyperfixation. To everyone else, if you haven't watched Captain Flamingo before, you can seek it out on Internet Archive, Tubi, or Roku, although be aware of episodes being out of order and Tubi not having all of Season 1 for some reason. It certainly isn't a perfect series by any means, but if you like Atomic Betty, you'll find at least one aspect about its sister series to admire. And as always, please remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell, and drop a flamingo emoji in the comments to confirm that you watched this review until the very end. Thanks for watching and take care.